Me and you and everyone we know, 2005. This is an intriguing oddball indie oddity from the mid noughties by Miranda July. Her work is fairly unique. It's hard to really point to someone who does similar work to her. It's quirky, it's surreal, but it's not dark, so you couldn't say it's in the same ballpark as, say, David Lynch. It's nowhere near as dark as that, but it is full of weird people acting a bit weird, being a bit strange. These are not realistic people doing realistic things. They do unusual things, they act odd. So maybe it's a bit more comparable to the work of Jim Jarmusch. I find Jim Jarmusch's films, for the most part, to be very alienating and not very enjoyable because they are very hard to engage with because the characters are so deadpan and the pace is just so slow. His sense of humour, if you can even call it humour, is just not to my taste. Whereas Miranda July's work is better paced, not anywhere near as deadpan, and although I think a lot of people would call her work alienating, I personally don't find that it is alienating. I think there's some warmth there and I can connect to them, especially this one, her debut movie. I can connect to this to an extent that is more than I can to anything really by Jim Jarmusch. So the film has been a lot more effective on previous viewings. On this viewing, I think it's maybe dated a wee bit too much to the mid noughties. It feels quite 2005. I'm not sure what the state of computer technology was on the internet in 2005, but it depicts people talking to each other via message boards, I guess it was. Something I don't personally recognise, but it's not that the technology is dated because it's irrelevant. The technology is not an important part of the story, but I'm just saying that the movie, it feels like a a mid noughties indie movie, and it does feel slightly like a period piece in that sense. Visually, it's quite bland. It has I don't. I assume it was not shot on videotape, but it does not look like 35mm either. So I don't really know what it was shot on, but it does. The movie does not have any particular visual panache. It is a little straightforward and borderline TV looking. She does not have a great visual imagination, but I mean, it's all filmed very competently. The structure is quite weak. On this viewing, it just felt rather disparate. A bunch of random scenes and random subplots that don't really connect together. One subplot doesn't necessarily have a heck of a lot to do with another subplot. Maybe some characters from the different strands interact, but it's not adding up, it's not converging in any significant way, and it's not adding up to become more than the sum of its parts. It's an ensemble movie, but quite a short running time. It's excluding the credits, it's probably only in the region of about 82 minutes. So it doesn't have this sprawl of like a Robert Altman movie. It's definitely not an ensemble piece in that sense. It's a lot more modest in scope, less messy, I guess, than a Robert Altman movie would be, so it's not comparable to that. But I think the script doesn't really come together to add up to anything particularly substantial. So, the climax is borderline aimless. The climax is borderline irrelevant. It doesn't come to any actual super specific endpoint. This comes with the CD, with the soundtrack. The soundtrack in the movie is fine, it's good, it works, but it's not particularly memorable. I don't think it jumps out. I don't think you would watch the movie and be particularly obsessed with the soundtrack. But this did come with the CD, so I put that on my iPod, and it has been played extensively. It comes up on shuffle all the time, and it's really nice keyboard, ambient music, a lot of nice synthy drones and stuff. And as a piece of music to come up on shuffle, it has been played extensively, and I really, really like it. So maybe in the movie itself, the soundtrack is just, effective, good, decent, but unremarkable. But on its own, as music on your phone, this is some very, very good music. I would give the film Me and You and Everyone We Know 6 out of 10. I have liked it more in the past. It still has quite a bit of appeal. There's certainly something quite interesting, and because it's so unusual, it's such a one of a kind, really. It's not like you can really point to much else out there that's similar to this. It's possibly quite alienating to some people, but I connect to it. I don't find it to be particularly alienating. I would cautiously recommend it, although you do have to have a tolerance for oddball, quirky indie movies. All the various plot strands work, unlike her next film, The Future. It all works more or less, it's just not coming together to become more than the sum of its parts. Sadly, she never bettered this film. It took 6 years for her to make her follow-up, which was called The Future, and it is a much bittier film where whole sections just don't really work, and it does not add up to much. I suppose at a push you could compare her work to that of Hal Hartley, who also did unusual oddball movies set in their own peculiar little world without being flamboyantly weird like David Lynch. He also relied on charm more than outright peculiar weirdness.